I've often spoken about the notional nature of reality. And our reality is nothing but notions that we take as real, that we invest our feelings in, we invest our passions in even. We invest our passion in ideas, in understanding, in notions. But what we need to do now is look a little bit deeper into those passions. Our reality isn't really about notions, it's about moods. I mentioned my friend Janet recently, who phones me now and again. She's usually in a state which I think could accurately be described as one of despair when she phones me. And normally she's got a lot of things on her mind, and these things are usually to do with not only how bad the world is, but how bad her life has been and how badly she's messed it all up. So this is what she's often talking about. She's painting a very bleak and dark picture of how things are. But what it really is, it's her mood. This is how she's seeing things, it's how she's experiencing things. But it's not to do with how things are. All she's doing is expressing how she feels. And of course it's very difficult to do anything about this because what we've got is a very tight circle. You have a feeling, you find something outside which that feeling connects with, maybe some injustice or something, and that reinforces the feeling, and then the feeling finds another notion to invest in about how bad things are, and that fuels the feeling until you get locked into the most awful cycle. You get locked into a particular pattern of moods. This is samsara, isn't it? And Janet isn't stupid, she's a very intelligent person. She was a practicing Buddhist for many years, she's done a lot of meditation, extraordinary amount of reading, but this doesn't seem to give her any insight into it. Even if she has got some insight, it's just used to fuel the mood again. This is what I'm doing, is this what I'm doing? I'm so foolish. What can I do about it? I'm stuck. Even her insight is fed into the despair and into the mood. But this is our situation. If you've got a pattern of good moods, then that's great. You're living a godlike existence. But this is really what we have to deal with. Spirituality is not really about ideas. It's about the reality of our feelings. Feelings are our reality. We dress these feelings up in notions. So what we have to look at is these feelings. We have to understand our own pattern. Whether we're involved in anything spiritual or not, every single one of us has to learn to manage our moods. And those that cannot manage their moods are usually either locked up or become politicians. Is that an unfair comment on politicians? I don't know, I'll let you decide. Rama asked, when one has realized the supreme truth, what does he become? Vasistha replied, to such a one, even the rocks become friends, and the trees in the forest are relatives. Even when he lives in the middle of a forest, the very animals become his kith and kin. So, once you've realized the supreme truth, what does this do for your mood? It puts you in a good mood, does it? It puts you in a good mood where everything is your friend. Let's read on. A kingdom appears to be void in his eyes. In other words, a kingdom which we presuppose here is something desirable is no longer desirable. In other words, all the riches and power of the world become empty. Calamities become great good fortune. Even when he lives in a kingdom he rejoices in, he celebrates his misfortunes. And this is the angle. This is the angle to spiritual practice, is realizing your mood and taking everything that happens as an opportunity to reinforce your state of liberation from notions. You might not be taken in on a conceptual level anymore. You might not be taken in by the consensus reality, but you've still got your moods. You've still got your moods, and these can be powerful. And this is what we have to deal with. So when disaster strikes, how do you respond? Do you revert to some quivering, neurotic wreck? Or do you take them into the bigger picture? So everything becomes a celebration, even misfortunes. I'm not quite sure if celebration is the right word. I think opportunity. There's that old saying about a crisis is really an opportunity. Disharmony becomes harmony. Sorrow is great joy. And even when engaged in intense activity, he experiences deep silence. In other words, he's unruffled. I've often wondered if it's better to be living in some kind of monastic community or even semi-monastic community. Or is it better to be living out in the world, having a job, having a family and so on? There's something very appealing about living in a monastic or spiritual community of some sort. And there are times I've visited such communities and stayed in them temporarily. And I feel extraordinarily at home usually. Well, I've got one particular one in mind. It's the Holy Isle community in the west of Scotland, near the island of Arran. And it's a wonderful place, beautiful people, and the whole context of it is just right, really. And I wonder, well, surely I should be living there. Why don't I make things slightly easier for myself and go and live there? Live with people that I feel in tune with and harmony with. Well, I suppose maybe I just like to do things the hard way. But I suppose basically I do feel that these problems that arise are opportunities, even though I don't feel up to dealing with them sometimes. Sometimes I just wonder if I can cope with them. I mentioned at the end of the last video about the possibility of getting a job. At some point I'm going to have to get a job. And this my past memories of getting jobs is they're not agreeable. They're not agreeable memories. You have to fit yourself into some other way of doing things. You have to fit yourself into a hierarchy. You have to do things which might not make any sense to you, which seem rather pointless, a waste of time, and all the rest of it. I truly revolt at the prospect, although perhaps things will be different now, because I've moved on since then. And it'll be interesting to see how I deal with it. Yes, this is something that I can use to my spiritual advantage, in accordance with what's being said here. I hope so. It's going to be a challenge. So I suppose in a way I want to stay in ordinary life. I haven't got a good enough reason not to. But we'll see how things go. This is a challenge.